Welcome back, everyone, to the My Practice, My Business podcast, where we peel back the curtain on the dental insurance industry, state and national dental associations, and anyone else who seems to have forgotten who they're supposed to be serving. You, the dental provider. Today's episode, the American Dental Association. Where did we go wrong? Buckle up, because we're driving into one of the most ironic, twisted, backwards realities in dentistry, and we begin our podcast right there.
Welcome, all of you fantastic dental podcast listeners, to the My Practice, My Business Dental Podcast Show, where we help dentists profit and thrive with excerpts from the clinical business of dentistry training here at My Practice, My Business. We'll be addressing and answering questions with current trends dentists and their teams face each and every day in their pursuit of this wonderful career we call dentistry. And now, the host of our show, the clinical director and president at My Practice, My Business, Dr. Rob Thorup.
We're broadcasting today from the My Practice, My Business Training Center in our production room. So if you hear a fire truck go by or siren of any type, they're probably coming to get me. Anyway, and we're definitely going to have some fun today. This is a podcast I hope that many of you will share with your colleagues. This is information that needs to absolutely be passed from dentist to dentist. Please, please, please do so. Let's begin. Insurance companies allow and even encourage billing for non-covered services. Meanwhile, some association leaders accuse dentists of unethical billing for using the exact CDT codes the ADA created. I know that sounds nuts. Tracy and I witnessed it in a state just south of us. I can't even tell you how long I have been waiting to do this podcast. You can't make this stuff up. If your blood pressure isn't elevated yet, just wait. We're going to talk about how dental associations become the enforcement arm for insurers instead of advocates for dentists. We've seen that with surrounding states. Why certain leaders have adopted insurer-aligned mindsets that actively harm the profession, how the ADA's own language contradicts what associations preach, and why it's time, long overdue, for dentists to say, enough is enough. Let's get going. Part one of my podcast is the irony no one talks about. For years, Tracy and I have taught tens of thousands of dentists and providers, their team members, that non-covered services are allowed to be billed to patients. Not because we said so, but because state law says so, federal law says so, contracts say so, the ADA says so. And this is the part that should shock every dentist. The insurance companies themselves want you to charge for non-covered services. That's right. They want you to do it. Insurance companies build entire business models on non-covered upgrades. LEPAT versus MEPAT. That stands for least expensive professionally accepted treatment versus more expensive professionally accepted treatment. Memorize those terms. LEPAT versus MEPAT. Enhanced materials, higher quality treatments, add-ons that improve care. They know exactly what they're doing. They want providers to offer upgrades because it saves them money and makes the patient happy. Yet association leaders, and I'm going to say this carefully, leaders who should know better, are out there telling dentists, and I quote from recorded conversations, they state, those codes shouldn't be used, or those services are included, or billing for that is unethical, or those codes are for documentation purposes, not reimbursement. Oh, good Lord, help me now. I'm sorry. What? What the hell are you teaching, implying, stating, leaders? The ADA literally created the CDT codebook set for the purpose of reporting services rendered, not services suggested, not services implied, not services included, but services performed so that dentists can be paid fairly for said services. But somehow these leaders have adopted this bizarre insurer-friendly mentality that says, quote, if the insurance company doesn't want to pay for it, then the dentist should not charge for it. End of quote. You heard me right. Do they hear themselves? American Dental Association and State Dental Association leaders, can you possibly be that ignorant? Have you really been brainwashed to this level of dental business stupidity? Imagine your car mechanic saying, yeah, the oil filter I used isn't covered, so I guess I'll just eat the costs. I could give 100 examples in the business world. It's absolutely absurd. Insurance companies understand non-covered services. They embrace them. They rely on them. Yet somehow our own associations are telling us to stop charging for non-covered services. That's the irony. That's the insanity. That's why this conversation today is happening. Part 2. Where did we go wrong? Well, let's go back in time. Once upon a time, dental associations existed to, support dentists, defend clinical autonomy, push for reimbursement fairness, fight overreach, champion ethical and economic sustainability. Somewhere along the line, and this is the million-dollar question, when did supporting insurance companies become the new mission statement? When did it? Because what we're seeing today is not accidental. For years, companies like Delta Dental have strategically lobbied associations, sponsored events, positioned themselves as partners, written subtle influence into policy discussions. They've leveraged contracts like LEPAT language to creep into clinical decisions. They've pushed insurers onto CDT advisory panels, and they've gained control over code definitions and reimbursement narratives. We've all seen it. And the ADA, knowingly or unknowingly, has followed these forces to shape the national conversation. Fast forward to now, and we have association leaders parroting insurer talking points, leaders telling dentists they're unethical for using codes properly, leaders discouraging non-covered billing, leaders refusing to teach providers how non-covered laws actually work, leaders supporting CDT deletions that benefit insurers. You've heard me talk about this stuff. Leaders celebrating legislation that does nothing. Can we say MLR? Leaders staying silent on bundling, downcoding, and ERISA abuse. And leaders who refuse to acknowledge that dental insurance is the number one concern of dentists nationwide. So the question becomes, why are these people even in leadership? How does someone get into a position of power in dentistry while holding beliefs that completely undermine dentists? How do leaders ignore real data, real law, real economics, real patient care, and instead embrace policies that actively weaken their own members? This isn't ignorance anymore, my friends. This is systemic, and dentists are paying the price. Part 3 of my podcast. When associations stopped representing dentists. Let me be blunt. There is no universe, none, where bundling, downcoding, recoupment by force, inclusive or included language, eliminating CDT codes, forbidding upgrades, forbidding enhancements, mislabeling MEPAT as fraud, telling dentists they cannot charge for non-covered services, accusing dentists of unethical billing for properly coded treatment. None of that is in the best interest of the provider. Yet here we are. Instead of educating dentists and fighting insurer overreach and teaching MEPAT and non-covered law instead of upholding state statutes and protecting the profession, these American Dental Association and state dental association leaders silence discussions, take credit for laws they didn't even pass, undercut reform efforts, protect insurers. They discourage dentists from asserting their rights. They oppose meaningful legislation and gaslight providers when they ask questions. We hear the stories every single week. It's becoming more and more prominent. Dentists will ask, can I bill the patient for this? And the association will say, probably not. The dentist will ask, can I use the CDT code? The association will say, it should be included. The dentist will ask, the ADA created this code. Can I use it? And the association leaders will say, the code is just for documentation, not for billing purposes. The dentist will ask, insurance says it's non-covered. Can I charge? And the association says, be careful. You don't want to be unethical. Meanwhile, insurance companies are literally telling providers to charge for non-covered services. How do I know? Tracy was on the phone with Delta Dental of 15 states as they were discussing this. And they stated to Tracy how grateful they are for our company doing what we're doing in dental legislation. Think that through, people. Why would the most screamed about insurance company, why would they be working with us to better serve the dentists that are on their panel? Noodle on that one. They know the state and national laws. So why don't our dental associations know state and national laws pertaining to dental insurance plans and the implementation of said laws? Do you know that Utah leads the nation in dental insurance legislation? Let me be very clear and state that again. Utah leads the nation in dental insurance legislation. Not the ADA, not Washington, not some other state. Utah. More specifically, Tracy and I, with our proactive Utah Dental Association leadership support that leads the nation in dental insurance reform law. What am I saying? Well, we actually have an association with an effective leader as the executive director. You would never know it based on what is written up in the ADA news. Utah gets little to no recognition, probably because we refuse in Utah to bend the knee to minimum loss ratio laws and the dentist hygienist compact that's being heavily pushed by the American Dental Association, neither of which are good for dentistry, but that's another story for another day. Part 4. The ADA is not helping. Look, the American Dental Association does some great things. That's why I'm still a member. Begrudgingly at times, but I'm still there. But when it comes to insurance reform, no, absolutely not. The ADA owns the CDT codes. They profit from CDT code licensing. They lease CDT codes to the same insurers who weaponize them against us. They sit on advisory boards with insurers. They allow insurers to dictate coverage structures. They delay action until other industries force their hand. That's what we see happening. Remember the ERISA fiasco? Let me give you an example. Pharmacies were sued. Pharmacies won. Suddenly the ADA said, oh, hey, we should probably support that. You know what? Dentistry is tired of being an afterthought, American Dental Association. This kind of thought leadership failure is the major contributor to the decline in association membership. And let's talk about these CDT definitions. Least expensive professionally accepted treatment. Acronym LEPAT. The insurers interpret this as you don't get to bill more. Associations interpret that as don't upgrade, but if you do, Just include it in the already low reimbursement fee. But the ADA created these codes to reflect reality. Medicine upgrades all the time. Optometry upgrades all the time. Audiology upgrades all the time. Dentistry is the only field told, be happy with the cheapest option and make it all inclusive. You altruistic dentists out there, you don't run a business. Why? Because the organizations that were supposed to guard the profession instead surrendered it. Part 5. Why are these leaders even still in power? That's $1 million question. This is the part no one wants to say out loud. Some leaders love the title more than the responsibility. What do I mean? Some want career advancement. Some want political favor. Some want association awards. Some want the perks. Some want to be in the room with insurers so they look powerful. Some want to avoid conflict. Some simply don't understand law, contracts, or reimbursement. Some think being polite is more important than protecting dentists. Man, have I seen that through the years. Whatever the reason, the result is the same. Dentists are unrepresented. Patients suffer, providers lose autonomy, insurance companies gain power. And then these same leaders have the audacity to call dentists unethical for coding appropriately. No, it's simply time for ineffective leaders to either be teachable or get the hell out of the way for effective leaders to fill your spots. Period. If you hold a leadership position in dentistry and you ignore state law, or you don't even know it, you ignore non-covered statutes, you ignore bundling laws, you ignore ERISA abuses, you ignore code integrity, you ignore dentist concerns, you ignore insurance overreach, you ignore economic sustainability, and instead attack your own dentists, you are not a leader. You are part of the problem. And it's time to stop supporting them. Real leaders are simply ordinary people who do extraordinary things. Do you want to be a leader or a follower? And quite honestly, we have enough followers in this country. This is exactly why Tracy and I fight the fight. We both have the commensurate achievement to call out those in leadership positions and say, either lead effectively or get the hell out of the way. We'll send your wall plaque to place on your brag wall in a couple of weeks. That's how I feel, and that's how Tracy feels. We have seen and experienced everything that I have talked about. We are seeing it more and more and more in frequency. We've seen it more this year than we've seen it in any year. What is going on with our association? Part 6 of my podcast. This is your call to action. All you dentists out there. So dentists, listen to me carefully. We are done being polite. We're not going to be polite anymore. We are done being passive. We are done being gaslit. And we are done waiting for associations to come around. We're done pretending incompetent leaders will magically do the right thing. Enough is enough. Here's what you can do. First, stop blindly supporting associations that don't represent you. If your state association is anti-provider, stop funding them, period. Call them out weekly, monthly, send emails. Tell them enough is enough. That's how you lead. 2, demand transparency. Ask the questions. Why are you supporting insurer talking points? Are they paying for your conventions? Why aren't you fighting bundling? Do you know that Utah has passed a bundling law? We were the first. Tennessee copied our law word for word. Washington, you kind of bastardized it, but you're partway there. Idaho, keep pushing. Arizona, where are you? Why don't Ask the question, why don't you support non-covered law education? Why don't you support any dental law education? Helping those wonderful front office team members be able to apply it, let alone the dentists who are supposed to own the company. Ask, why do you discourage proper CDT code use? Is it the status quo? Is it the Unity syndrome? Yeah, no, I'm not doing it acronym? Is it to look good and altruistic? And have you ever cut a paycheck? Have you ever ran a company? Is your practice successful? Ask, why are you silent on ERISA abuse? Do you know that in ERISA, a lot of the federal plans, there's actually non-covered law verbiage in the contract? Ask the question, why aren't you advocating for reimbursement reform? In other words, why aren't you following Utah? We are setting the example. Grateful for a dental association and a handful of association leaders that get it here in Utah. And they support Tracy and I with insurance reform legislation. Grateful for a legislator who actually understands it, actually works in the insurance industry, actually is a member of NCOIL, the National Coalition of Insurance Legislators. What a concept. So why aren't they advocating for reimbursement reform? The third thing you can do, support organizations that actually advocate for you. Grassroots movements, independent training, legislative teams that get things done. Training with My Practice, My Business, where a part of your tuition goes for insurance reform legislation. Real insurance reform legislation, not the crap that the ADA sits there and tries to say they're doing, and then they fail miserably. Know the law better than your association does. Insurance is not the enemy of knowledge. Ignorance is. 5, stop letting fear control your billing. You are allowed to charge for non-covered services. You are allowed to offer more expensive professionally accepted treatment and charge accordingly for it. You are allowed to perform dentistry at a higher level than the cheapest option and charge the patient directly for those better options. And my 6th point of advice, stand together. That's what we have done in Utah. Our association has stood together with Tracy and I in leading insurance reform. How many states have actually given us a call and have asked us, hey, help us. What did you guys do? Give us your pitfalls. Show us your strengths. Show us where the weaknesses were. Teach us how we can copy what you have done. Because fragmentation is exactly what insurers and weak associations rely on. I mean, I hate to say that the associations rely on you to be fragmented, but they do. We have seen it in surrounding states, and a few in the Midwest and a couple on the East Coast. Fragmentation exists in our dental associations because power loves ignorance, and the ignorance becomes powerless. Well, ignorance needs to stop today. The Good Old Boy Network has been warned. Dentists deserve better. In closing, I want to say the shift has begun. We have seen a movement here in the U.S. like we've never seen it before, and we're starting to see dentists stand up for themselves, even if the associations will not back them up. The profession, though, seems to be waking up. Dentists are frustrated. Hygienists are frustrated. Office managers have had it. Patients are frustrated too. Insurance companies are not suddenly on our side. They're simply following the law they've always followed. Working with Tracy and myself here at My Practice, My Business, actively participating in dental insurance reform in our state that can be so easily copied in other states. It's the dental associations who have lost the plot. And here we are. And we're here to say, we will not be ignored. We will not be silenced. And we are not going to be bullied. and we're not going to be misled. And we will not apologize for practicing ethical, lawful, patient-centered dentistry. It's time for new leadership in so many of the states. It's time for new leadership in our ADA. It's time for real advocacy. It's time for reform that protects the profession and not the insurers. And it starts with all of us saying together, enough is enough. That's the phrase Tracy and I said back in 2019, and it's why Utah is the leader in dental insurance legislation that actually helps a provider work with third-party payers and not against them. Call the Utah Dental Association and ask them what your state can do. Don't wait for the ADA mothership to decide what they're going to do. It's not going to work. And don't wait for your state association. You as individual dentists can make those calls and start pushing your state associations to do the right thing. Thanks for listening. I'm Dr. Rob Thorpe, and if this episode made you uncomfortable, good. Because the only way forward is to face the truth head on and reclaim dentistry from those who have forgotten who they serve. Until next time, keep fighting for your patients, keep fighting for your practice, and keep fighting for your profession. Work with the ADA, be a member, but don't be an absentee member. Be active, hold leadership accountable, help them do what's right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for being with us today. Since 2006, My Practice, My Business has been teaching dentists and their teams business skills, dental insurance contractual protocols, and state laws governing how to profitably bill patients fairly for the need-based services they provide. What's more, we guarantee our training, unlike other dental consulting companies in the industry. Simply stated, if you don't increase your net revenue, we don't get paid. We call it dental consulting the way it should be. We believe there has never been a more important time than now for dentists to experience and implement our key methods, knowledge, and business training within their dental practices. To learn more about our guaranteed, no-risk clinical business of dentistry training that is changing dental practices for the better, just go to our website, mypracticemybusiness.com, and surf our pages for additional information about our company and the services we provide. When you're ready, give us a call and get scheduled for the most profitable dental business training that you will ever experience. If you enjoyed our podcast, please leave us a 5-star review. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call us. Thank you again and have a fantastic day.